Hello, we are The Promise of Love, bringing to you The Love Effect.
A podcast that brings you real insight and real stories about real relationships.
Welcome back. This is Winona and Rob, and we're here to chat about honesty and about being true to yourself.
Now, this is not about making yourself more important than others. No, instead, it's realizing that the more concessions that you make when you're dating, the more you say okay about something that really isn't okay with you, the more you jeopardize your long-term relationship. Now, sweetheart, why is honesty key?
Honesty is key because when you are being honest with yourself about your actions, you are allowing yourself to accept more changes and see things differently in your everyday life.
Okay, now, of course, you probably consider yourself to be an honest person, right?
Yes.
But that's not really the question here, is it? Consider this. Would you consider it to be a matter of honesty to be honest with yourself about your self-worth?
Yes. You have to know your self-worth. You know that you are worth more than what people actually tell you that you are. Somebody can say to you, well, do this. And then you're like, well, I know my self-worth that I shouldn't be doing what somebody else tells me to do.
So how would you display or show that you have a sense of self-worth? How do you see the difference in that between different people?
Okay, you can know your self-worth of when you know that your limits of what you need to do as far as the person that you are. So don't change your self-worth to be what somebody else wants you to be. Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, it does. And what about having the right value on the right things about yourself? What is it about self that you find worthy? And whenever I say this, I think about how someone might portray themselves by the way that they dress or the way that they physically or aesthetically present themselves, as opposed to finding worth in the character of their being. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, yes. Yeah. So, honey, understand your problems.
Ooh.
How would you talk about that?
Well, I imagine that a lot of us, when we go into a relationship, we don't want to admit the problems that we have.
Yeah.
A great example would be whether or not you are over your ex.
Yes.
And if you're not honest with yourself about that, you could wreak havoc in your next relationship.
Yeah, this is so true.
There are some times when you decide, I want to get into a relationship to help me get over the past person that I was with, to help me get over this past heartbreak. And whenever you have, even if that focus is not at forefront of mind, it's still there if you haven't dealt with that issue, if you have not dealt with that pain, if you have not properly put that person in your past. And so you could get weeks or even months into a new relationship and find that, you know what, I'm still thinking about her. I'm still thinking about the girl that I was with. I'm still thinking about what we could have been. And as you're in this new relationship, the new relationship just can never be right because part of you is still lingering in the past. That is just not being honest with yourself.
Wow, that's good. That's real good.
I guess that rolls right into knowing your limits. How would you consider knowing your limits as part of being true and honest with yourself?
You need to see truth in yourself. Be truthful to who you are. Know yourself. You don't want to take try to get somebody to be in a relationship with you if you're not truthful to yourself. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
And there's actually, I don't recall the name of this syndrome or this condition, but it is depicted by a domestic cat looking into a mirror and seeing a lion staring back.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that before.
And you can actually Google that image. Go to Google Images and say cat looking into the mirror, and you will see many pictures of this description. And what it's trying to convey is that sometimes you see yourself as something a whole lot more than what you really are. You know, it goes as far as to some people.
But it's good to have that, right?
Well, it depends. Sometimes someone looks in the mirror and they say, I'm a superhero. I can lift all these things and I've got the heart of courage and I've got all these things. But in reality, they simply cannot live up to that image because it's actually a super image of anybody. If I look in the mirror and I see someone who can pastor a megachurch or lead millions on a movement or be the CEO of a major Fortune 500 corporation. Now, these might be things that I could do someday with some growth and learning and some development and maturity. But if I'm looking in the mirror and seeing that right now, that I'm presenting someone to someone else that just is not true. Don't be a representative of who you want to be. Be the actual authentic self. So the person that you are getting with is falling in love with actually you, the real you.
Wow, that's really good. So, how about seeking help when you need it?
Wow, these just roll into each other, don't they?
They really do.
Oh my goodness. So this happens with guys a lot, right? We want to say, don't help me with that. I got this.
Oh,
I got this.
Yes.
I got this. See, here's the thing. With guys, if you say to them, I think you need help with this, a lot of times what you're doing is raising a vote of no confidence. I don't think you can do this on your own. And even though as the lady, you don't have that mindset, you're not trying to express that, that is how it's received. And this creates a condition where if the guy is always on the defense of saying, look, I want to show you that I can do this, whenever he actually does need help, he may not ask because he thinks that I'm going to lose your confidence in me being able to take this on. So I might go ahead and try to move a 80-pound television all by myself because I want to show you that I can do this.
Yeah, that's good. On one hand to try to do that because, maybe it's the ego pride thing, but also understand that you can throw your back out if you try to do that by yourself if you don't ask for help.
And I did this is from experience too. Back the last tube television that I had, it was a big 32-inch Hitachi or Mitsubishi, and I thought, oh, we got ourselves a flat screen. I carried the flat screen into the house under my arm, and that large CRT was just sitting right there where it needed to go. So I said, that can't be that heavy, right? And so I got a great position. I moved it off the shelf, and I thought I had everything supported and balanced, and no. It was the slowest fall that I've ever had, and I slowly fell over onto my back. And there I am, starfish, in the middle of the family room with the CRT just having me pinned on the floor. And I was the only one home.
Oh, wow. Then how did you get that situation?
Well, that was clearly an instance of me looking in the mirror and seeing the Hulk and saying, oh, I can do that. I can lift it with one hand.
Wow.
Luckily, it was a carpeted floor, so I was able to kind of roll the television off of me, but it was so funny. It might not have been so funny if someone else was there to witness it. It would have just been embarrassing, but that was funny.
Wow.
Oh, so knowing your limits and then seeking help whenever something is surpassing your limits. Wow, you're right. I could have thrown out my back, and it would have been really bad for someone that I'm trying to impress to come home and find me with my back thrown out.
Yeah.
Because I was being stupid. That was a mistake. But there's other mistakes that you make in relationship. I think most of us can look at relationships that we've had in the past and say either the relationship was a mistake or I made mistakes in that relationship
yes.
that led to its demise.
Yes.
And the question is, can you forgive yourself for those mistakes? Can you be honest with yourself that they were your mistakes to begin with?
Yes, you have to be. That part with forgiving yourself, it's definitely growth. You must forgive yourself. That is a must. And like you said, yes, be honest with what you did wrong in the relationship. So yes, that is very key and very important. Also, you do need to forgive the other person. That is really, really important.
Now, I have to admit, there have been times when maybe I even got into a relationship and I knew I shouldn't be there. I knew I shouldn't be in that relationship. And I ended up breaking her heart because whenever I finally woke up and realized this is not where I'm supposed to be, I'm here for the wrong reasons. Yep. I'm here for all the wrong things.
Yes.
And waking up and shutting that down, I need to take responsibility.
Yes.
And accept that was my mistake. I need to be honest about that. I can't put everything on her saying, well, she seduced me, or she did this, or she did that. No. I need to take ownership of it, be honest with myself about that, and then I can forgive myself for being such an idiot.
Yeah, forgive, as I said, forgive yourself. Very important. Forgive yourself for your mistakes, and then also you have to forgive the other person. You really do. So, honey, ask yourself why.
Yeah. So that relationship that I just talked about, what was the beginning of the end is that someone else asked me why. They could see that I was in a relationship that was not what I had intended for myself. They knew that, and although people all around me kept saying, you should get out of this. These are what's so wrong with her. This is what's so wrong about you two. This is what's so wrong about your situation. And every time I heard, this is what's so wrong, I defended what I was doing, what we were doing. I defended the relationship because everything was a threat. But what finally turned it around is someone asked me, why are you in this relationship? And I looked at it and I had a simple answer. It was about ready to just come out really easily. And then before I could get the words out, I just broke down and started crying. And the answer was, the why was, I don't think I could ever love again like I just loved. So it felt nice to be loved like that. I could never love like that again. But to be loved like that, maybe that's as close as I'm ever going to get.
Wow.
And in that instance, I realized I was in this relationship for the wrong reasons. Ask yourself why. Are you there just for the attention that you're getting? Or do you love the person who's giving the attention? Are you there just because this person looked great? Because they displayed a sense of self-worth that was encapsulated in their appearance or what they were willing to do? I mean, there's a lot of people out there, both guys and gals, who will show you anything because that is the extent of their self-worth. They don't have any self-worth in their character, so they want to bear some skin. They don't want to see any self-worth in the person that they are, so they want to give you the impression that they'll do what you want to help you feel validated. Whenever you're looking at these things, if those are the reasons why you're in a relationship with that person, you need to backpedal and ask yourself, well, what about their character? What about the substance of their soul? If you can see the whys in that, and you can see yourself growing a long-term relationship with that person's character, then your why becomes relevant.
So just let me recap this a little bit. So, know your self-worth, understand your problems, know your limits, seek help when needed.
Oh, dear Lord, yes.
Forgiving yourself for your mistakes, and ask yourself why.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
So, when you're being nice and you're giving in, you could be setting your relationship up for stress. Yeah. So, don't compromise your happiness.
Now, certainly, be open to trying new things. Now, that gives you a chance to grow. For example, if I was on my own, if I was just choosing what to eat on a regular basis, I would never choose a vegan restaurant. I just wouldn't do it. But when Winona suggested it, I actually enjoyed it. I'm actually glad that I went. And sometimes it's my idea to go back and have it again. I grew a little bit that day, and I grew a little bit because of the differences between us.
When Rob wanted me to think of something.
Kayaking?
Oh! Yes. So when Rob wanted me to kayak, I was like, I've enjoyed this before. I had. But we did it, and we kayaked, and it was definitely a different experience the second time for doing it.
You were never going to get in that water again. You're almost just this close to being aquaphobic.
Yes.
However,
we did it though.
We did it. We almost got lost at sea, but it was an experience that we will have in our memory for a lifetime, even if I never get you in another kayak.
You're right. You're totally right.
So, of course, it's good to have fun with your differences.
It is.
But it's also good to understand if those differences are going to challenge your convictions. You should not expect to get with someone who is just like you.
Oh, no.
You should have some commonalities, a lot of commonalities even. But the areas where you're different, those gaps leave room for each of you to grow. And in that growth, you find the enrichment of life. So just be sure, do not express a willingness to grow into an area that challenges your convictions.
It's kind of funny if you get into a relationship without having, if you don't have anything that, somebody's not different from you, it's like it's actually being in a relationship with yourself. I don't think that's any fun.
It seems like it would be, right?
Yeah.
If I start to think of all the things that I love to do, and I look for a gal who loves all the same things, then I actually do not get to experience new things.
That's true. Didn't look at it that way, but yeah, you're right. So, in all of this, you have to be what? Honest with yourself.
Hey, thanks for tuning into The Love Effect. Respectfully, we ask you to hit that subscribe button to help us keep this going. And if you'd really like some detailed guidance on how to find and confirm true love, come visit us at stepstofindtruelove.com. That's www.stepstofindtruelove.com. Blessings to you.